Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good morning. Okay, so today we will continue still under chapter 2, but on the subtopics of characteristic of real estate. Okay, so before we move further, so let's recite Ummul Kitab Surah Al-Fatihah. Okay, so the characteristic of real estate, okay, it could be durability. Okay, so real estate also is heterogeneous. Okay, and the real estate itself is immobile. Okay, and it is bound with the legislations. Okay, long times required, okay, for the transactions. Okay, and also it is requires a higher, you know, initial costs, all right? And also the real estate now is scarce, okay? Reducing in numbers. Okay, reducing we talk about is there's no more producing at all, all right? Okay. Okay, so first we look on the characteristic of real estate, which is durability. Okay, so durability is actually means, okay, the real estate is cannot be destroyed. Okay, so when we talk about real estate, generally we talk about land, for example. Okay, it cannot be destroyed. Okay, it can be damaged by storms and other disasters, but it remains and we always will always be there. Okay, that's the concept. Okay, whereby lands will always be there unless even though part of that is taken out. Okay, however, parts of that is still there. Okay, however, when you look at the beach or sea bed, okay, it's maybe um, been torn. However, part of that is still there. Okay, so a building, all right, can last for decades or even centuries, and the land underneath it is practically indestructible. Okay, so for the building itself, if you notice this, okay, so the age of the buildings actually is um the common practice, the physical age of the building is 65 years. Okay, so which is it's quite it's quite old. Okay, sometimes as a humans, as a people, also not even reach at 65 years old. Okay, so that's a comment. Okay, so it is durable. All right. Okay, so this is the main reason why land is talked about as a being on an investment. Okay, whereby yeah, because of its durability. Okay, there is no maturity period of investment when you invest with the land or we invest with the real estate. Okay, because of that. Okay, so the real estate we could see that as a good investment. Okay, so the real estate is heterogeneous. Okay, so what is the heterogeneous? So it is a lot. Okay, it is variety. All right, so the real estate market is typically divided into residential, okay, commercial and industrial, agriculture. Okay, so there's a lot of sector of real estate itself. Okay, and also divided into subcategories like recreational, income generating, historical, and many more. Okay, this simply points out that no two parcels are the same. Okay, for example, these two pieces of land may be very similar, but every single parcel is different geographically, even though it is next to each other. Okay, because each parcel is located in a different spot, even though it is next to, but it is a geographically it is located at the different spots. Okay, all right. So that's means of heterogeneous. So there's a lot of types of property. There's a lot of categories. There's a lot of um, use. All right. Okay. So that shows that real estate is heterogeneous. Okay. So I mentioned before. Okay. The real estate is immobile. Okay. Why? Land cannot be moved. Therefore, it is immobile. House cannot be moved. Okay. Unless you construct a house that can be um, bring, okay, transfer from another one place to another place. That's exists. That's kind of houses exist. Okay, but the common house in Malaysia, it is immobile. Okay, that's a special, constructed buildings only can be moved, but the commons one is cannot be moved. Okay, even when soil is torn from the ground, the part of the earth's face, the earth's surface will always remain. Okay, as I mentioned before, even though part of that is taken out, okay, or naturally, okay, torn or naturally, um, gone because of landslide or whatsoever. Okay, but the part of the earth's surface will always remain. Okay, for example, okay, if people demand a house located in a suburban area, okay, so they need to find out any house that located there. Okay, they are not simply can bring their existing house or can bring along their lands, okay, to the suburban. Okay, that's the example. So real estate basically, or the common rules of thumb, it is immobile. So it is secure. Nobody um, you know, can steal your house, bring out of the town. Okay, so it is unable. All right. So next is the real estate is bound by the legislation. Okay, so it's really depending on the laws. Okay, and regulations. There's a lot actually. Okay, and it is actually good because of it will be able to protect the property interest in the market. The government introduced a few written laws to protect the property from being speculated. Okay, this also to avoid instability of the market and also fluctuation of the price. Okay, so this is one. This is part of the laws which are enforced in Malaysia. For example, is National Land Code (NLC) 1965. Okay, so in the NLC, there's a lot of real estates or land matters. Okay, inside that. Okay. And also Land Acquisition Acts. Okay, Land Acquisition Acts is will control, okay, any parties that want to acquire your land. Okay, so it will be, it is good for the protection of the property. So nobody can acquire or take your land, okay, without any concerns or without control by the acts. Okay, Stamp Duty Act, for example, and RPGT, Real Property Gains Tax. So nobody can buy and sell property just for fun, just for speculations. Okay, because of there's a control. there is act, okay, there is laws that control all of these activities that relates to the real estate. Okay, all right. So that our market will be more stable. Okay, if there's no control for our RPGT, for example, so the speculator will buy and sell property just for fun, just to make it, just to to gain a profit only. So, but unfortunately, these activities actually will boost the property value. The property value will rapidly increase. Okay, so that's not a good sign. Okay, that's not a good situation in the markets too. Okay, scarcity. Okay, scarcity is simply demonstrated by saying they are not making anymore. Land is not making anymore. Okay, that's why if you realize that, okay, because of the scarcity of the land, all right, some of the developers and maybe some of the investors start to look on sea or oceans areas, sea areas, ocean is too big, sea areas here bad, okay, to they start to do a developments on the at the sea area and many more other places. But now, if you look if you're watching films, they're starting to they are started to think to find out any other planets, okay, that possible to human be um settled down there, okay, because there is scarcity, okay, of the lands in our earth. All right, the supply of land has a ceiling. Okay, so now it actually has reached a ceiling point and cannot be produced more than what exists today. Okay, so the lands cannot be produced anymore. Okay, the numbers of the land day by day becoming less or reducing because the optimum use of the existing land available. All right, so after this you need to think where should you stay, okay, where should you live after this, because of the land is becoming reducing, okay, becoming less. Okay, so maybe you need to think a new place, new places, okay, to be live, okay, for the future. All right, because as now we can see that it is almost reached the optimum use, okay, on the surface of the earth. Okay, so next is high transaction cost. So real estate, yes, you need a high transaction cost. It's required high transaction cost. Okay, buying a home costs much more than most types of transactions. Okay, buying a house is very costly. It's very costing. Okay, it's very costing. Okay, this cost includes estate agents fees, legal fees, stamp duty. There's a lot of fees, banks requirements fees, copy documents fees. There's a lot of um payment that you need. There's a lot of items that you need to pay. Okay, in order to purchase a property. Okay, the cost of the property itself is you know absolutely high, but you need to add up also with this with the others transaction costs. Okay, so that's a lot. Okay, transaction costs for the seller typically range between 3 to 4% of the purchase price. Okay, in some countries in continental Europe, transaction costs for both buyer and seller can range between 15 to 20%. So can you imagine that? Okay, so some of the countries there's no incentive by the governments to help their peoples to purchase a house. Okay, macam Malaysia we still have some incentive given by the governments, okay, to help their people in order to have their own house, for example. But for the certain countries, that is not given with the incentive like this. Okay, so can you imagine how difficult of them to have their own house? Okay, so next is long time delays. Okay, so the market adjustment process is subject to time delays due to the length of time it takes to finance, design, and construct new supply. The procedures of the transaction also contribute to the delay on delivery and transaction of the property. Okay, so if you want to sell a property, it is not as easy as you want to sell a pisang goreng. Okay, pisang goreng could be sell okay very fast if the pisang goreng is good. Okay, tastes good, so it will be sold out very fast. But it is different, okay, if you compare with the real estate. It's not an easy business, okay, because it required a very high capital. Okay, so those who do not have a high capital, so they are unable to purchase a property. Okay, and also it took a time for the processing, okay, on the processing, okay, to get the loans, okay, to get there's a lot of things concern. Some of the buildings need to have a state concerns. Okay, there's so many things that you need to settle up before you are able to get the property, before you are able to enter the property. If you buy a property that is still under construction, it's maybe took 1 or 2 years for you to able to occupy the building. Okay, all right. All right. So any other characteristic of real estates? What was we discussed before is part of that. That's a lot actually. All right. So this is the task for you. Okay. Try to find out any other characteristic of real estate um that you found. Okay. Or that you think out is maybe a characteristic of real estate, but madam not discussing about this. So um, you could share it with the class in the tutorial session soon. Okay, so that's all for this session. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Have a nice day.